Good morning, everybody. My name is Devin Young. Thank you all for coming out to our Black History program, Pearls of the Wisdom from Our Ancestors, hosted by East Georgia State College, African American Male Initiative. Our ancestors had drive, and they installed in a high morals and a sense of responsibility of ourselves as well as our fellow men. My hope is we share something with you all today, and we will challenge you to drive. So without further ado, please put your hands together as we present a few of my fellow brothers of AAMI. We drive. We drive.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is Momodu Singate, and I drive because my ancestors were dedicated to creating a better future for me, no matter the cost. Dallas, why you drive?
I drive because my ancestors fought for me to be respected as a man and a human. Cruz, why you drive?
I drive because my ancestors inspired me to dig deeper and pursue greater heights, even when faced with adversity. Shalil, why you drive?
I drive because my ancestors were vigilant and fought against the unethical and inhumane treatment of blacks. Mr. Drummer, why you drive?
Turn you up. I drive because my ancestors were excellent.
Oh, yeah. Man, watch out. My name is Aaron Davidson, and I drive because my ancestors were excellent in creation.
What do you mean creation?
I mean, you don't see me?
Our ancestors was excellent in creation. Not only in creation, but they were also excellent in technology. Without Garrett Morgan, there would be no traffic light, and everybody out here would be having all kinds of car accidents. Without Garrett Morgan, there would be no gas masks. I drive because my ancestors were not only excellent in technology and creation, but they were also excellent in They were also excellent in engineering. And without Richard Spikes, there would be no automatic transmission. And everybody would be out here driving the stick shift. And our ancestors were also excellent in the medical field, which leads us to the introduction of our guest, our keynote speaker, Dr. Sylvia Rozier. Back in the day, out in the tobacco fields, Dr. Sylvia Rozier had to wait to receive medical service. And she vowed at that time that she would not deal with that again and not allow anyone else to deal with that again because she went on to become a nurse. And going on to become a nurse, that wasn't enough for her. She went on to become a doctor of nursing so that she can teach more and develop more African Americans, Caucasian Americans, every non-American nurse that she could. And that's what she do. She was excellent in creation, excellent in technology, excellent in engineering of people. Without further ado, we introduce to you Dr. Sylvia Rozier. Put your hands together.
Good morning. Let me tell you why I drive. Yes. No.
In respect for our ancestors, Dr. Sylvia Rozier, we salute you.
See, he just called me off guard. Stop messing with me. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Let me tell you, first of all, I'd like to thank the men of AAMI and their dedicated leader for setting a standard on our campus. You all, come on, put your hands together. I don't know if we knew that AAMI was here before Mr. Drama, but it's here now. Let me tell you why I drive. I drive because of the story that I'm about to share with you. There is an African proverb that says that wisdom is like fire. People take it from others. And what that means is that things that you have learned in this life, you must share with others. My story started in 1957. I was born to parents. My father was military. We traveled. And then in 1965, I had to go and live with my grandmother. My grandmother was the first midwife in South Georgia. She was not educated, but she delivered hundreds of babies. That's why I drive. My mother from Douglas, Georgia, was the first African-American educated registered nurse. I drive because she set that standard. So in our wisdom, in our pearls of wisdom with our ancestors, I want you all to learn you have history right in your own family. You have people that have set standards and they've raised the bar and you must do it higher. I was thinking of something the other day and I shared it with some folks, and I want to tell you I'm hype, you all. I'm all about hype. What do you mean hype? I'm hype because I want to help young people excel. So that's what I'm destined to do. He shared with you that in my beginnings, I was a child with asthma. I had asthma, and we would go to Douglas to visit my grandmother, and they would be spraying pesticides, and I would have an asthma attack. My grandmother would take me to the doctor's office. The doctor's office was segregated during that time. You had a black waiting room and a white waiting room. I would be so sick, I couldn't catch my breath. We would get there at 9 in the morning, and the doctor would see me at 4 in the afternoon. Why, you might ask? It's because the patients didn't want the doctor to touch them if they've touched a black patient. So I had to stay there and endure that. And in my small mind, I recognized, I've got to change this. This is not right. And so I decided to go into healthcare. When I became older, I became a nurse, and things really hadn't changed that much in a sense. We still had segregation in our schools. We still had segregations in our communities. I know it's hard for you to believe, but I went to a high school where there was a black prom and a white prom. I know it's hard for you to believe, but I went to restaurants that I couldn't go inside the restaurant, but I could go to the side window and order my food, even though my aunt was working in the restaurant. These are the things that your parents can share with you. Ask your family members. Get the history of your ancestors. Know those things that make your family strong. Know those things that your family overcame challenges and became victorious. So my story, you might think, oh, that's a terrible thing, but my story led me to my destiny. Because I did not want others to suffer like I had suffered, because I did want everyone to get quality of health, then I decided to make a change. I decided in my mind I can either be a thermometer and measure the temperature or a thermostat and change the climate. So I decided to make that change. My mother was a registered nurse. She was also an artist, and she was a registered African folklore storyteller. She reared me all of my lives with myself and my sister, with African proverbs. So all of my life, those things have been the foundation. My mother would say things to me, and my grandmother. She would say, Sylvia, if you marry a monkey for money, when the money is gone, you got a monkey. And she would always say, you never want to do business. You don't want a business partner that says to you, if you do all the pushing, I'll do all the grunting. So that's not a good business deal. What that means is, if you're working with people in life and you're doing all the work and they're wanting all of the glory, that's not a good deal. If you're doing something with someone and they don't want to engage and do it with you, that's not a good business deal. Let me share some more pearls of wisdom that my grandmother and my mother shared with me. There is an African proverb that says, if you're filled with pride, then you will have no room for wisdom. And what I believe, that's why I'm an educator. I believe that education is the best medicine for ignorance. And what I mean by that is, not necessarily in the classroom. You never know what I have endured to explain why I am the way I am. So always be willing to understand that there is a reason for every behavior. Educate people. If you have fears, educate people so that they know why you are the way that you are. Another one is, a man that uses force is afraid of reasoning. I can tell you now, being forceful is no way to make people loyal. You want to make sure that kindness is what makes people loyal to you. Showing kindness, showing grace, showing that you put yourself after them, that will make a person loyal. Even though you disagree, learn to still listen. Just because I disagree doesn't mean I have to shut down. I don't have to agree with you to listen to you. But a lot of arguments are because people are not willing to listen. People can look at the same thing and see something totally different. Now, wait a minute, how many tigers do you see there? Somebody tell me, how many tigers? You see one tiger, right? But I dare to have you to look closer. It's the tiger within the person that makes them a tiger. It's not the outside of the person. It's the courageousness within the person that makes you a tiger. It's the courageousness that you have within yourself that makes you excel. It's not on the outside. Another one is, bad friends will prevent you from having good friends. If you show me your friends, I will show you your character. Your vibe attracts your tribe. I'm serious. Young folk, y'all listen to the old grandmama. Your vibe attracts your tribe. If you are always around people that's got confusion going on, check you out. If you're always around someone that's always in trouble, check you out. If you always got gossip coming to you, check you out. Because for some reason, somebody's thinking you the trash can. So make sure that you recognize. Look at the people in your circle that'll tell you who you are. He who thinks that he is leading and has no one following is only going for a walk. If you have no one following you, see, your credentials behind your name does not make you a leader. The only person that can lead is one that's willing to follow. If you're not willing to work as hard as I am or harder, I'm not going to follow you. So you've got to understand, because there are lots of leaders in this room, but you have got to prove to those on your team that you will work just as hard. Knowledge without wisdom is like water in sand. Water in sand is mud. And so what that means is people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Peace is costly, but it's worth the expense. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And another thing that's important is keeping unity. Sometimes the best thing to say is to say nothing. Nothing speaks louder than anything else. if you just stay quiet. People wonder what you're thinking. If you're always bubbling over, people know what you're thinking. But be quiet. A fool speaks, the wise person listens. One of the things that I've had to learn in this life, when a person is misinformed and they are talking about things they do not know, the more they talk, the smarter I sound. And learn that. If you don't know what you're talking about, get knowledge. You've got to know that you're destined. He who is destined to be in power does not have to fight for it. If you're destined for something, you must conduct yourself today, not where you are today, but where you are headed. You've got to remember, all of these pictures that are being sent, they can be stored and used against you later. People are always watching you. People are always recording you. So you need to remember, your action should not be for where you are today, but where you will land tomorrow. If you close your eyes to facts, you will learn through accidents. The late Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. There is no greater fool than a fool that fools himself. You know when you're not telling the truth. Be true to yourself. Always be honest. And it's not necessarily when you're running that you're going to arrive. It takes a long time to get to where you're going. Be patient with yourself. Know that you've got to learn some life lessons along the way. You're not going to become the king without becoming the prince, without becoming a princess to be the queen. So it takes a long time to get to where you're going. The wise person builds bridges. The fool builds dams. Build bridges that you can cross. You never know when you've got to go back. Don't burn your bridges. Don't get an attitude and tail me off, because you might need me someday. Wisdom is wealth. The richest person shares their knowledge, shares their wisdom. The poor man dies, and he holds all of his wisdom in. As young as you are, you have learned some life lessons that you should be teaching someone. There are things you can teach me. Some of you that's street smart, you all can teach me a whole lot. And so I understand that knowledge comes from lots of places. And one of the things my grandmother used to say, ears that do not listen are attached to heads that will be cut off. Listen. Listen to the advice of your teachers, your faculty, your professors. Listen to the mentors in your life. Listen to each other. A drug addict can tell you how not to get on drugs. A person in prison can tell you how not to go to prison. So listen. The universe is speaking to you. Listen to what the universe is saying. Thank you for listening to your ancestors.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Now I got OT. You want a mic on the way?
How y'all doing today? Today I'll be singing the Black National Anthem. We can't hear you. Oh, you can't hear me? How y'all doing today? My name is Ontario Malay. Today I'll be singing the Black National Anthem. Let there be. Oh, please stand. I'm sorry. Everybody please rise. My fault. Y'all ready? Let there be voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoice and rise high as the listening sky. Sing the sweet one. Victory is won. That's it. Oh, God's song See, I was going with her. Huh?
When you got a grandma that know the words to a song, they don't mind taking it over, do they? East Georgia faculty, staff, students, we just want to thank everyone for coming out to celebrate with us today. We put out an allotment of 1 hour because traditionally, for those of you that don't know, black folk like to get long-winded. But today, we hit y'all with a whammy. And this concludes our program. We hope we presented something to you that was informative. We hope we presented something to you that you enjoyed. And we ask that you take on and develop the drive within yourself and press on throughout the day. Thank you all for coming out.